Today, when you founded KK and Associates, a number of remarkable buildings have been built according to your designs, mainly in Japan in the first decade, but especially in the last decade, it's as if you found a secret code that unlocks the hearts of people and juries around the world. Dundee, Sydney, Eskişehir, Geneva, Silicon Valley, everywhere there have been and are being built buildings that make you one of the world's most valued architects. How do you explain that you are so extremely successful now?
I started my practice in 1986, but after year 2000, we started to work abroad. And through the experience in working abroad, I learned something from those experiences. So how to work with the place. So each place has special character, tradition, and history. And if we respect those character, so we respect the tradition of the place, we respect the history of the place. So naturally, we can find the solution for each place. That kind of solution is coming from the place, but still, create new type of monument. The monument we are trying to create is open monument. Open to the community, open to the place, open to the environment. That kind of open monuments are very much needed from our period. And maybe that's the reason of our success.
You studied in Tokyo and New York. What did either of these schools give you? And how did the environment of both cities inspire you?
I studied in Tokyo University first, and as a good thing for Tokyo University is engineering and design. We have two courses. I could learn from engineers, structural engineers, mechanical engineers, about the environment, about seismic, but also we learned the design from the design professors, and those two fields are merging in Tokyo University. It is uniqueness of education in Japan. And also New York, as I learned many things about the history and tectonic. The tectonic is how to use local materials, how to work with craftsmanship. That kind of things I learned in New York from the professor, Kenneth Frampton. Then the two education system is different, but both is very necessary for me.
Which Japanese or international architect or architects do you consider to be your role models and why?
Yeah, still I learned many things from American architect Frank Lloyd Wright. Maybe he was the first architect who understand the importance of nature and the importance of environment. In his period, America was as an era of skyscrapers and as a big towers was leading American culture and American economy. But he was totally against that kind of trend, and then he was very much criticized sometimes. But he changed the history of architecture design, and also he did something abroad. For example, he came to Japan to design a very important imperial hotel in Tokyo. And in that project, he respected the culture of Japan. He respected craftsmanship in Japan. He did use local material. And then he created masterpiece in different countries. Still, he is a role model of myself.
Time magazine named you as the only architect among the 100 most influential people of 2021. What do you see as your personal contribution?
Yeah, the influential is very important for architects, I think. The good design is good design, but sometimes good design is separated from the environment. So what I'm trying to do is to change our society. In 20th century, the concrete and steel building destroy the tradition and history. Whereas now the people began to understand the importance of tradition, history, local culture, and material. By using the local material, for example, for this project, I want to use brick, and as some project I'm using the wood as a local stone. By using a local material, I want to change the approach to the place, and it is totally against internationalism. Internationalism destroy locality, but I'm trying to do the opposite.
What exactly does the word associates mean in the name of your studio?
My studio, I try to create a very horizontal system. Some architect studio is very vertical. The top, the second, third, but my studio is very flat. I'm talking with my colleagues, almost every colleague like a friend, and that kind of communication is the basis of our creativity. People can say anything to me, so I'm try to hear anything from them. That is the meaning of associate.
Many of your realizations are museums. How do you see the museum as a typological species? And how do you perceive the role of a museum in the 21st century?
Yeah, the museum in 20th century and museum in 19th century was the space for art. Whereas now in 21st century, people want to have the museum like living room for the city. The meaning of living room is people can relax in the museum, people can meet friends with the museum. That kind of communication space is the definition of museum in 21st century.
In your interviews, you often mention that the material of a building is more important to you than the shape or the philosophy of tradition is more important than traditional details. How is this attitude reflected in the design of the Brno Museum?
Yeah, for the museum in Brno, I pick up the brick for the main material for the building. The brick represent the life of people. The concrete is a very functional material, but I cannot feel any life in the concrete. But brick is totally different from concrete and steel. The brick is life, and if we can assemble the brick, so we can build the life of people, and it is the goal of the design of Brno Museum. So it's a museum for life.
Construction and materiality of the Meheran design seems to me to be significantly more conservative compared to the innovative designs and the use of material in your other buildings. What made you decide on the overall concept of the Brno design?
As a museum in Brno, I really like the site. It is separated from the other building, and also adjacent to our building, there exists a bolted roof designed by Fuchs, after Second World War. I want to create the soft monument with the soft roof of Fuchs. The sharp, strong monument is not fitting the site, and then the monument we design is not separated from the place, part of the place, and then the impression of the building is not so shocking. It's a soft monument which fit the spirit of our period.
Soft curve or ellipse motifs have been appearing very often in your designs recently, such as the Exchange in Sydney, the Natural Stadium in Tokyo, the New Hans Christian Museum in Odense, or Henrik Ibsen Library in Skien. Now, why did you choose a similar motif in Brno? And did you know that Bohuslav Fuchs designed the bus station check-in hall in a similar elliptical shape, the same place, almost 80 years ago?
Yes, as bus stations, and he found the very smart solution for the site. The site is a meeting point of many flows, many traffic of the city, and then the sharp shape has a risk to separate those flow. Instead, I want to connect everything in the place, and also the round shape has a special meaning in the Jewish culture, and turning around is important for the ceremony. For weddings or for funerals, the turning is very important. I want to represent that culture by using round shape.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.